Hello everyone, I'm Eric from Sports 365. Here with me once again is my colleague Alex. So, Arsenal played a couple more games. Unfortunately, they lost both of them, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So, first of all, Arsenal lost 3-1 to West Ham in the League Cup. They're now out of that competition, and Arsenal also suffered their first Premier League loss of the season against Newcastle after a very controversial goal that probably should have been disallowed. So definitely two frustrating results. So what are your thoughts on these losses?
Yeah, it's two frustrating results, especially the loss at Newcastle.
Yeah, I don't think the League Cup is that much of a priority for Arsenal this season. Obviously, with trying to compete for the Premier League title and also playing the Champions League as well, so I don't think it was that much priority. But the loss to Newcastle was definitely disappointing and frustrating, especially with all the officiating stuff that happened in that game. Now, in terms of defense. Wasn't good enough in either match, but really wasn't even close to being good enough against West Ham. It was not good enough. Ben White scored an own goal in that game against West Ham, and Ramsdale didn't make a single save in that game either. Defense was a little bit better against Newcastle, but still not good enough. So. Two defensive performances that were at least insufficient. So what are your thoughts on Arsenal's defense in these two games?
Well, the defense and goalkeeping in the West Ham match, as you said, was not good. Ramsdale, given the fact that Raya's been a bit shaky lately, could have staked a claim to retake the number one spot if he had played well against West Ham, but he didn't really. But, against Newcastle, the defense probably should have kept a clean sheet because the goal probably should have been disallowed. So,
I think the defense was nowhere near good enough against West Ham. Definitely could have been a little bit better against Newcastle, but definitely not good enough. And education definitely needs to be better moving forward. Now, in terms of the midfield, Arsenal dominated possession in both games. They had 71% possession against West Ham and 59% had possession against Newcastle. Unfortunately, the midfield didn't really create much in either game in terms of goal scoring opportunities. So possession ultimately didn't really amount to much of anything. But numbers at least look good, but we should actually, help change the results. So, what are your thoughts on Arsenal's midfield in these two games?
Yeah, you have 71% possession in one match and 59% possession in another, but only score one goal. That shows that, well, obviously the forwards probably weren't really finishing chances enough, but also that the midfielders weren't creating enough chances, so it's not really acceptable.
Yeah, I agree. The midfield is really struggling in terms of creating. The game against West Ham and then the game against Newcastle. Odegaard wasn't available for that game. I think that made a big difference. Definitely really frustrating, and hopefully Odegaard will be available soon because Arsenal really need him as that midfield creator.
Yeah.
Now, the attack was not good in either game. Against West Ham, Arsenal only scored once, which was a consolation goal in injury time, and then, of course, didn't score at all against Newcastle. Arsenal only had 3 shots on target against West Ham, and then only one shot on target against Newcastle, so definitely not good enough at all in that area either. So what are your thoughts on Arsenal's attack in these two games?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not good enough to, especially to have that much possession. Even if there aren't that many chances being created, there's still a decent number of chances, and only score one goal between the two matches is just unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially against the game against West Ham, because they're decent enough defensively. Arsenal definitely should have done better in terms of scoring goals against them. And like I said, I think the absence of Odegaard loomed large against Newcastle. Obviously, they're a very good defensive team. Arsenal didn't do a good job of finishing the chances that they did get in that game. Not good enough. And I think Arsenal really need Jesus back from injury. And I think Arsenal also really need to get another striker in January. Keddy has just not got in it at all. Obviously, he played really well against a very poor Sheffield United side, but still way too inconsistent for the level the club's at right now. So I think Arsenal really needs to address that in the summer transfer window, because we can't afford to have the attack go down so much with the loss of one player due to injury. Now, in terms of the Vanger ratings, obviously not going to be very good. For the game against West Ham, I gave Arteta a 6 out of 10. Defense wasn't good enough. Tech didn't do that much, and these players from the second team didn't really do much to justify getting more minutes. Particularly Ramsdale certainly didn't stake a claim to be the number one goalkeeper. I also gave him a 6 against Newcastle. The defense was a little bit better, but the midfield still didn't create that much, and the attack was even worse. And also the subs didn't do much in that game either. So, not good ratings for either match. So what are your thoughts on those manager ratings?
Yeah, I agree with your manager ratings. I don't think Arteta did a good job of adjusting the tactics, in the midst of either match when it was clear that things weren't working out. And of course that includes perhaps not quite making the right substitutions in either match. So I can't really give him good manager ratings for either match.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely could have done a better job. Like I said, those players from the second team, I guess, in West Ham game really did not. Most of them, at least, didn't really make a strong case to get on minutes, which is obviously disappointing. But it's happened. So not good in our game. Arteta definitely needs to do better moving forward. So there you have it. Two frustrating losses for Arsenal. Turned out a bit differently in both, but still not the results that we wanted in either case. Hopefully Arsenal can do much better in the next match and have a big one coming up hosting Sevilla in the Champions League. So hopefully Arsenal can bounce back and get a big win and take another step forward toward getting out of the group stage of the Champions League.
Yep.